Hello, parents, and welcome back to Parent Shift, a place where we speak about conscious parenting. One day, our world will not ask our children if they were pampered and if they were liberally parented. One day, the world will ask our children, can you stand and fight? Can you serve? Can you think and decide even when the going is very tough? Life will ask our children, can you endure? Life will ask our children, can you do the right things when nobody at all is watching, clapping, cheering, or motivating you? Our victory as parents will be in teaching our children, in bringing up our children, in parenting our children to win with those kind of questions where they can stand, they can serve, they can think, they can decide, they can do the right things even when everything around them is going wrong. And in this, there is a big challenge in modern parenting where we continuously keep saying, let the child choose. It sounds kind, it sounds very modern, it sounds very fashionable, very Western, very progressive, very loving. Uncomfortable truth is a child who has not developed the value systems, the strength of discipline, respect, patience, of discernment, which is viveka or discriminating the right from the wrong, that child is not choosing. The child is just reacting to its own impulses. Now, this could be a 5-year-old child, a 10-year-old, a teenager, and many young adults or children who are trapped in the bodies of adults as late as 50s and 60s. That's the truth. That's what we need to understand. When we as parents call every impulse of the child's expression and the child's freedom, then we are not raising children. We are raising fragile egos. That's what we are doing. And this is very short of what is formation. Formation of a child means formation of its character, formation of its value systems, formations of its thinking, formation basically of a neural network in their brain that helps them deal with the best and the worst of the situations with equanimity, with balance, with focus, with the best of their energies. Today, because of all the things that we dole on our children in terms of modern parenting, our children more have more screens but much less stamina. Our children have a lot of opinions but they have very little wisdom. Our children have a lot of choices but they have far less self-control. Our children have a lot of information but they have far less reverence of others, situations, resources, and the realities of life, even forces of nature. Our children have a lot of confidence, but very little character. And this is the modern crisis of parenting, or what we call, quote unquote, modern liberal parenting. It is often giving rights and responsibilities and expressions to a child before the child has learned restraint and and responsibility. So for most of our children, comfort is coming before capability. Deserving is much later. They are desiring first, and that's where a problem is. So let's be also fair. I am not recommending the older system of parenting because that also broke children. Now, not all of liberal parenting is bad. Children must be heard. Children's emotions matter. And I have said this so many times on my channel also, that they should not be humiliated or suppressed or treated like furniture at home. That damages. But the old system also used to damage children, where fear used to damage many of us. Our expressions were curtailed, our voice was curtailed, our choices were curtailed. That also used to happen. Both of these are incomplete, but the question is, can we do some of the positives of what real parenting means? The idea of earlier homes where they had discipline without love. Can we have discipline and love both? Some of those homes used to have respect without space being given. So can we bring in the concept of respect and also give space to our children? That's the kind of conversation that we need to have. What we fundamentally need to ask is a question: can modern parenting be actually based on bringing up a child's charitra or its character? Work really on its dharma, or how the child is awakened to the responsibilities of life. Really reel in the child's swabhava in the right way, and the shakti of the child in the right way. In fact, video very recently where I had spoken about parenting and Jyotish, I had encouraged all of you to understand your child's kundali, to understand some of these things. You know, uh, in one of the principal Upanishads, it said so beautifully, Satyam Vada Dharma Chara. So when you say Satyam Vada, which means speak the truth, and Dharmam Chara, that then means walk on the path of the right Dharma. That is what parenting needs to teach, where a child walks the path of Dharma and speaks the truth, and then obviously has all the behaviors associated with that. Parenting is not about the child doing whatever the child feels and its free freedom, free will, and free expression. Freedom is about training yourselves to work within boundaries. In fact, if there is no freedom, if there is no boundary, there cannot be any freedom. When a river flows between two banks, it is called a river. But when that river is flowing without boundaries, it's called a flood. That's what we need to understand. So let's make our children purposeful rivers and not floods that destroy things. So let's highlight very clearly what are today's children missing in parenting, which means what is modern parenting missing. First, let's start this, that today a lot of children are physically much weaker than what they used to because of their sedentary lifestyle and the devices and all that. Every single child should be able to run, climb, sweat, carry, bounce, fall, get up, be sturdy, handle things, lift, push, clean, all of that. It should be able to handle hunger, heat, fatigue, routine, all of that, and get up despite the fact it is tired. Every child should be able to handle challenges, physical challenges. This is one thing that most children today are missing. We have given too much of air conditioning, too much of cushioning, too much of safety in everything. So first, parenting needs to bring in a lot more focus on physical strength and conditioning for every single child. No matter what the child's condition is, bring this in. Second thing, every single child must be brought into what is called niyama, or disciplined routine. And that niyama or disciplined routine should be when the child wakes up, when it sleeps, at what time it eats, what it does, when does it work, when does it leisure, all of that. There has to be perfect synchronization of that discipline. Parents are shocked when children cannot study or focus or do difficult tasks because they cannot focus. Why can't they focus? Because they have not been focused. Children need to be focused with that discipline that they need to be brought in. They need to learn how to finish tasks, accomplish things, win goals, stick to things, take a hobby and build it to a level where they can master it. The word is mastery. Without niyama, which is disciplined routine, they cannot achieve mastery. And this is what a lot of children today need to learn. Modern parenting mixed with a lot of modern schooling where everything is left to the child's choice, that cannot be the way children learn discipline. Control is good, structure is good. That's something that children need to be taught. Third, a lot of children are today missing maryada, which is respectful boundaries. There is a boundary with which you speak to elders, speak to teachers, deal with things, deal with other human beings, deal with nature, life, other living beings, animals, etc. There's a way you deal with people who work for you or provide you service, even if it's your maid or the guard of the society or your chauffeur. There's a way you talk to people who are out there providing their services, cab drivers, all of those. There's a way you treat your books. There is a way you treat your clothes, your shoe. If you go to the swimming pool or if you go to the ground where you play, there's a way to treat that. There's a way to treat your friends. A child who's never corrected for their tone, their posture, their language, their conduct, they slowly begin to forget what is boundaries. It's very difficult to teach an adult how to have boundaries if they have not learned that as a child. We need to teach the child how to build healthy boundaries, keep healthy boundaries, and keep them porous enough so that they learn and grow. So we also have to teach how the child expands its boundaries or changes its boundaries. So whether an adult is emotionally strong or has a clear thought process or clear philosophies of life, or becomes clingy, dependent, aggressive, all of that depends on whether we teach our children Maryada or not, which is boundaries in the childhood. It's a very important concept. Fourth, what a lot of children are missing is what we refer to in Vedas as kritanyata or gratitude. The children today, they receive so much of food, so much of devices, so much of this, so much of that. They sometimes just don't have any respect for what it is. No respect for devices, no respect for space, no respect for hygiene, no respect for how they travel, where they travel, what they do, no respect for attention also, no respect even for others. They will do whatever they want to do. I mean, how can a teenager go and shut themselves off in a room and not talk to parents or guests or something? How can a teenager say that I don't like the rest of your family when the rest of the family has not done any wrong to them? So they are not even respectful or do not even have gratitude for an extended family existing. So one is they need to learn the maryada of the previous point of dealing with other human beings, but they have to have sheer gratitude that I have a family, I have an extended family, I have devices, I have a space. They need to have that gratitude and behave. Maryada without gratitude and gratitude without Maryada is never going to function correctly. So both of these points, the third and the fourth, they need to be dealt with together. Children have to learn to see sacrifices, pain of others, effort of others, all the things that others do. The effort of somebody cooking for them in the heat, the effort of somebody coming in and doing delivery in hot or rain or cold, etc. The sheer gratitude of having a vehicle, whatever that vehicle is, whether they like it or not. I mean, you may have a sedan, but you may want that your father buys an SUV, but you can't. They need to have that gratitude towards the sedan. A child without gratitude will become very entitled, and a child who is not taught gratitude is being taught to be entitled. And that is a very big problem. Entitlement is actually the biggest poverty that a lot of people have in their character and their soul today, because they are given this whole clothing of privilege, using which then those people insult, injure, and sometimes even kill others. That's what is happening. A lot of the murders that you hear today are because of these people having this entitlement to violence, entitlement to my rights, my way of life, my body, this, that, and the other. There has to be a boundary that children have to be taught. Then comes the fifth and very important one. This is where children need to be taught discernment of the right versus wrong. What we call this is viveka in Vedic terms. Most parenting, often will say, "Don't judge, don't do this." They will run to rescue their child when the parents become the teachers become very strict, or when they have a small little fight. But they're not teaching their child what was right or wrong in that situation, what was right or wrong that somebody did. When somebody is correcting them, it's not hatred. When somebody is correcting them, it's not judgment. When somebody is giving you feedback, it is not hostility towards you, but it is giving you clarity. Children need to understand, when two children fight, it may not be that the other person is hostile towards you, but you may have done something wrong there. You need to correct your behavior. Children have to learn these things, and that is where the whole viveka must be taught. Parents need to understand that laziness is not a personality type. There is a bad decision that the child is making of not being disciplined. Or disrespect is not confidence, right? This whole term of push back and stand up for yourself, it has to be done in the right way. If it's done all the time with everybody, then it is not confidence, it is disrespect. Addiction is not entertainment. Aggression is not leadership. Being able to speak loud is not leadership. Mocking tradition is not intelligence. It is not fashionable. All this blind rebellion is not independent thinking. It is a big problem. So children have to know what is really viveka. And that process has to happen from the childhood itself. A child must know the difference, and the parent must know the difference to teach the child this. Sometimes the parent themselves need to learn. Sometimes parents are a child stuck in an adult's body. That's why they're not able to teach. That is the truth in many cases. So, what should we do? What should the parent do? So, in that sequence of things, first, bring back a lot more of the daily physical hardships for your child. Make your child play physical sports, make physical routines, exercising, etc., sports, yoga, running, all of these kind of things very, very mandatory. Even get the child to do household chores, help you with cleaning the car, various things. When you're going out on a vacation, make the child pack, carry the luggage, do things. all of that. Comfort cannot become, the family mantra. There has to be a certain amount of physical labor. Second thing, bring back clear rules without any emotional dramas at home. Sleep time, food time, study time, the way you talk to others, all of that. There has to be clear rules, and there has to be logical conversations at home and no emotional drama. Emotions have to be tended to. Joy, fear, sorrow, guilt, everything has to be given, whether positive or negative. It has to be given its due attention. The child has to be taught how to deal with this, but there cannot be emotional drama at home. The family has to be a family of logic and love and care. The family cannot be a place of making everything a calamity. Third, teach boundaries and especially respectful conduct and respectful speech. In fact, I would say respectful thought, conduct, and speech. Bring that back. Calling somebody with the right tone, respecting somebody. We've had a culture in our country where others are not just uncles and aunties. There are so many relationship titles, and that was so that you could address people with clear context. Teach what is the difference between speaking insultingly versus speaking firmly, speaking with anger versus speaking firmly, disagreement versus insult, questioning somebody versus mocking somebody, or asking a question versus mocking somebody, right? How to express your feelings when you're upset or you don't like something. How do you not become obsessive or abusive? These are things which the child has to be taught how to think, how to behave, how to speak. Fourth, bring back the whole element of service to others, service to home. Teach your child the value of those who don't have enough, right? And also the concept of being weak and being unable. So when somebody is unwell at home, or you have grandparents, or you can once in a while take the child to a old age home or to an orphanage, etc., or get them to help and serve. You should teach children to take care of pets, take care of plants, clean their books, clean the house. That whole act of service has to be taught to the child. Values do not enter through lectures. Values enter through acts of service and doing things. And the parents have to lead these things. In our culture, it's also very important, I would say, the fifth point, which is introduce children early to Shastras and cultures of our living practice. Bhagavad Gita is not something to be read after retirement. Introduce your children to that, but you have to be introduced to it first. Vedas, Upanishads, there is so much of rich understanding there. Yoga, Kriya, meditation, mantra japa, puja, sadhana, sandhya vandana. There are so many beautiful concepts there. When and why should you go to a temple, a particular havan, a particular puja? There are so many vratas, etc., that you can do. At the appropriate age, introduce all of these things. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. These are wonderful stories which also build character if you take them into action and you get introduced to so much wisdom. Automatically, Viveka gets built. So, do these. You need to consume these as parents, and you need to bring these back to your children. Ask questions from these stories like, what did this teach? What did you learn? What not to do? What did you learn? What to practice? What did you learn? Why are we failing, or why are we succeeding? Modern parenting is too stuck in asking, am I making my child happy? The right question of parenting should be, how do I make my child strong enough to live with Dharma, even when the life is not so easy or life is not so difficult? Don't think this is a fatalistic question. Many people will bring this defensive point that, oh, that's a very fatalistic way of life. That isn't. Life has cycles. If something goes up, it will go down in one way or the other. You may not end up without money at all. You may always have money and resources, but there are so many other challenges that could come up in life. Modern affluent middle class families think, oh, we have so much money that no problem will strike. That's not the right way to parent. The purpose of parenting is not to produce a permanently entertained, permanently stimulated child. The purpose of parenting is to bring a human being, or build a human being, or to form a human being who is strong enough in the body, steady enough in the mind, respectful enough in thinking and conduct, operates with gratitude, care, love, and affection in the heart, and is guided by dharma in life. That is real parenting, and it's a tough ask. Freedom without formulation will only create confusion in the child's life, and the child will then multiply that confusion. Love without discipline creates weakness, friends. Remember this. Comfort without responsibility will create an entitlement. Let's stop worshipping our child's mood, our child's uh, good qualities. Let's start shaping our child's character. Remember what I said at the beginning. One day, the world is not going to ask your child, were you pampered? The world is going to ask, life is going to ask the child, can you stand and fight? Can you serve? Can you think and decide? Can you endure this? Can you do the right things even when nobody is watching, motivating, cheering, or rewarding you? This is real parenting. Start doing some of these things with your children, and I will see you very soon with another directional guidance like this for conscious parenting. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.